They got a lot of doubt down there. We got a lot of belief.
Curry, step back three. Bang! At the buzzer.
Here we come. They can't stop the freight train.
Count it and one. Lob it in. Davis throws it down. James puts up the three. The Warriors need to play on Friday. What a thriller here at the Staples Center.
Welcome to The Jump, presented by Dell.
Man, I'm still hyped watching that from last night. I got the goosebumps already. All right, welcome to The Jump. I'm George Sedano, in for our fearless leader, Rachel Nichols. Today, I'm joined in studio by our senior writer, the undefeated Mark Spears, ladies and gentlemen.
Back in the building.
Good to see you in person.
Almost cried when I saw you today.
I know. I got the big bear hug from you. I loved it. And, of course, our senior writer, who we always love chatting with. I love talking to her each and every day that I get a chance to do it. Jackie McMullen is joining us here. Jackie, how are you?
I am. How are you doing today, George?
Excellent, excellent. Of course, Malika Andrews will join us a little later in the show. Let's get started with the Lakers, who narrowly defeated the Warriors in the play-in game for the 7th seed last night. LeBron James nailed this three with 58 seconds remaining. The shot clock wind down, and apparently one good eye, okay, to give the Lakers the lead, which they were all. It's like Rocky movies. Remember when Mickey used to tell, or Paulie told Rocky, punch the one in the middle. So, Mark, what changed for the Lakers in the second half?
Defense, and this is something we're so enamored with offense that we don't talk about the Lakers' top-ranked defense. They held the Golden State Warriors to 100 points.
To a point, I think what really happened was LeBron happened. Yeah. LeBron had a poor shooting half, as did his superstars, of course. And it didn't look quite right to me. He didn't have the lift that we normally see with him. But one thing LeBron can do is pass the ball as well as anyone I've ever seen, especially in pressure situations. And all those backdoor pass cuts to guys like Caruso, he got Anthony Davis in places where he was comfortable. And then the other thing, Mark, I would say is Golden State's going to look back on this game and be pretty bummed out because those turnovers you mentioned, I think a lot of them were careless and to some degree unforced. So Steph and Draymond, who were so brilliant in the opening half, they sort of gave it away there in the third quarter. And we know this happens with this team from time to time. And the other thing is they started fouling, and that's been their biggest Achilles heel all year long is Golden State puts players to the line. And when you do that to a team like the Lakers, who are struggling and weren't in rhythm, ask any shooter, they'll tell you it's a great place to start feeling good again when you get free shots from the free throw line.
Yeah, go ahead, Drew.
No, go, please.
No, and I think another thing is we certainly need to be concerned about LeBron James. If you watched him, he was actually supposed to run the point guard, and he kept deferring to Schroeder, letting Schroeder bring the ball up. I'm hearing he's playing on one leg. So to see him not get a rest like the rest of the playoff participants who aren't in the play-in, to get this game yesterday was super meaningful for him because had they lost and won Friday, he would have had just one day off. So I'm really nervous for the Lakers in terms of his health. And I do wonder when they do play the Suns, because they had some success against the Suns without LeBron, if AD is supposed to, if AD's AD, then I wonder if the Lakers get the first one, should they let LeBron sit a game and try to rest that ankle?
Okay, let's tackle one thing at a time here. Look, Jackie, you made a great point. LeBron went LeBron, right, for the second half. I don't think there's any doubt about that. But here's the thing, and Mark, you brought this up earlier, which is their defense, right? And if you look at this Lakers defense this season, when they had everybody healthy at the beginning of the season, which wasn't for very long, they were the best defense in the NBA from a defensive rating perspective. When it was just LeBron and the group without AD, in that span, they were the number 2 rated defense in the NBA. And in the stretch of almost 20 games or so, when they didn't have either guy, they were still the 4th best defense in the league. So that is their backbone. That is their calling card. And that's what Frank Vogel has been really great at throughout his career as a head coach, too. Now, I heard this part about you telling me LeBron playing on one leg, and we can all assume that. But you are suggesting that perhaps they could, or they may consider, or you believe they should consider resting him if they get a game?
Yeah, I know the Suns are looking at me like, oh, that's a lack of respect. No, I have great respect for them, but that by the way he played, by the way he deferred giving the ball to Schroeder, LeBron gave a will to win in the second half that is second to none. That triple-double game, 22, 11, and 10, that was off of grit. But I could think you could tell, and Jackie mentioned to it, he's in a lot of pain, and there's a long way to go if they're trying to repeat as champs, and you got to manage it.
Jackie?
Yeah, you're playing with fire, Mark. If you start sitting LeBron James during the postseason, he was allegedly on a minutes restriction last night. I don't know where he landed on that. But I don't think you need to go to those measures. Maybe you're just a little more judicious in how you use LeBron in these games. You know, you mentioned Frank Vogel, George, and one of the other things that I thought he did in this game that was really smart, that we all knew he would do, and that it's the way I think they should play going forward, is he shifted Anthony Davis down to the 5. They're a better team defensively and offensively when he's playing from the 5 spot. And I don't think it was a coincidence that they started to pile up points and get some stops when you put AD at that 5.
Yeah, no question about it. Right, Harrell wasn't in there, Gasol wasn't in there, Drummond wasn't in there very much at the end, and Wes Matthews played a big role defensively for them, kind of giving them a spark. Let's move on here. Having secured the 7th seed in the West, the Lakers, as we mentioned, will face the Suns in the first round of the playoffs. According to Caesars William Hill, the Lakers opened up as big betting favorites here, a -300, but that's since moved to -170. It's the first time in at least 30 years that a 7 seed is favored over a 2 seed. So, Jackie, is this surprising to you?
It's not surprising to me at all, because were the Lakers healthy, I think we would have been talking about LeBron James in another MVP race, and we would have been talking about them either at the very top of the East or about to win the East. And I think the reason people are selling on the Suns is because there's so much inexperience in that lineup, George. You've got Chris Paul and you've got Jake Crowder, but beyond that, think about the key components: DeAndre Ayton, Devin Booker, Mikal Bridges, Cam Johnson. LeBron has 14 postseason appearances. Those guys have 0, a combined 0. So that's why people are not buying the Phoenix Suns. But I would say be careful. This has been a team that's been versatile all year long, very consistent. And Chris Paul has been an MVP candidate with the way he's been running that team.
Well, I don't trust Vegas. In a lot of ways, I think they're just always going to push forward the popular team. So, you know, I get it with the Lakers, and they are defending champs. But you see that guy right there, number 3? CP is going to have them ready to play. CP is due. And I think with Book's a elite baller. I don't worry about him playing on this level. Yeah, you know, Ayton and Bridges. But I think CP gets this team ready to play. And while, you know, Davis has had his way with the Suns, CP is going to make sure this is a battle royal.
Yeah, look, I don't think there's any question. We all know Chris Paul is going there ready to just, you know, muck it up if he needs to and do whatever needs to get done to win. But I just think, you know, forget about just the playoff experience, which Jackie, you pointed out so astutely, right? Like, that's huge. I don't think there's any question. But I just don't know how deep a team they are, right? Like, when you look at their roster, like, how far down the roster do they really go where you have guys that you can trust, right? Maybe 7, right? Like, that to me is a problem against a Lakers team that has already played plenty of games and treaded water without LeBron and Anthony Davis. And now that those guys are in their roles, I think that they should be able to kind of take care of the Suns pretty quickly. That's just my humble opinion. But
if it goes long.
Oh, well, if it goes long and LeBron gets hurt, yeah.
Jay Crowder's watching you right now, George. Jay Crowder's got something to say to you.
Right, but he to your point, though, it's Jay Crowder, it's Chris. I know Devin Booker's going to show up. I believe DeAndre Ayton will show up. I like Mikal Bridges a ton, right? But
they don't have anybody to guard AD. That's the problem.
Right.
He's had really big games against them. Yeah. 42, I believe, one of the last appearances. And I think the Lakers are going to have to, LeBron included, sit on AD's shoulders. He's got to get them past this series, help LeBron heal up. But they have no answer for him. He has to be dominant. He has to be in the post. He has to be aggressive. Can't just be three-pointers. And if he could do that, I think the Lakers can get past him.
Yeah, and he wasn't necessarily that in the first half yesterday. So after the loss last night, the Warriors will face off against the Grizzlies in the play-in game tomorrow for the final playoff spot in the West and match up eventually with the Utah Jazz. The winner of that round will play them. So, Mark, what are your expectations for this final play-in game?
You know, I watched their game the other day. I think the Warriors, they have this champion experience. I've seen them play with their backs against the wall over the years. Obviously, Clay's not there, but they're at home. They've been there, done that. They're not going to be fearful of that. I wonder how Memphis is in this moment, playing against Steph and Golden State. I like the Warriors. I like them to handle Memphis. But the one thing that Memphis can do that they stopped doing in the previous loss is they got to go to Valanciunas all day, feed them, let them get a double-double, 20-15 game. And if they could not try to match buckets with Curry and force feed Valanciunas, I think they'll make it really scary for the Warriors.
I'll tell you what, if I'm Steve Kerr, I'm going to get my film out and I'm going to play the first 5 minutes of that third quarter from last night over and over and over and over again. So Steph Curry and Draymond, the two guys that you need to be at their very best, can see the lackadaisical turnovers that they cost and what it costs their team. You do that, you get that right. I do like the Warriors. Ja Morant, to me, is a wonderful player. We know he's going to be around for a long time. I do think he's been pressing a little bit. I thought he pressed a little bit in their game the other day. But they have a lot of great young talent. Maybe they've got their nerves out of the way. It'll be a really great game. I'm looking forward to it, actually.
Yeah, they're not afraid for sure, the Grizzlies. They have been fun to watch, too. But I do like the Warriors just on experience. All right, coming up next, what's your pick for Dunk of the Year? Well, we'll run it back with our top 5 in chronological order. And then, of course, our... All right, let's go. Welcome back to The Jump, presented by Dell. I'm George Sedano with Mark Spears and the Hall of Famer Jackie McMullen. We're days away from the playoffs. And it was highlight heavy this season, of course. With that said, time to run it back with the best dunks of the year. These are not ranked, they're in chronological order. So let's go January 17th, Zion in Sacramento. I own the NFT for this. I own the top shot on this one. That's all
really
I'm saying.
do?
I do. I bought
How
it.
much?
I ain't revealing that.
Fine.
Okay.
Because, the market's different right now.
All right.
Yeah.
Jesus Christ. Did that guy retire after the game?
My goodness.
Oh, good.
That's nice. Now, February decision there.
Jesus
So
Christ.
quick. Scary, man.
He rode him like a horse.
He did. There's no doubt.
Where's the saddle at?
There's no
It's
doubt.
a family show, Mark. Family show. Come on.
Next, March 30th, Russ on Bismack Biyombo. Bismack Biyombo's on Shot Blocker, too. Come on now.
Christ.
This
He
is-
wasn't there.
This is angry Russ.
Yeah.
Angry Russ.
Oh,
Mark just walks away.
Jeez.
That's
gonna
how he
do?
plays,
Pretend
though,
it didn't
Jackie.
happen.
It doesn't matter who he's doing it on.
I
I don't
know.
even think he had a chance to put his hand up.
understand.
No, he didn't. He caught him off guard. Next, April 8th, Kawhi over DeAndre Ayton. I feel like this one's underrated. Because DeAndre Ayton was
So
right there
underrated,
for
'cause
him.
he's
That's
so
fifth.
sneaky.
That's
Because
fifth.
he's so sneaky.
And he didn't
You just
scream
don't
or
even think.
nothing.
He's
Man,
like,
look,
oh,
there's
yeah, I
two
got the ball.
dudes in
Wait,
his way
I'm
there.
dunking.
There's two guys here.
Wow.
That was
He's
tough.
just sneaky. Yeah, maybe I'll dunk on you.
All right, April 11th, shout out to them.
Right. And I mean, really, Clint Capella. He dunked on Clint Capella. It's like he was on my all-defensive team. My goodness gracious.
I like how Capella just
Wow.
turned around and ran back like, nothing happened.
Whatever.
Yeah, let's.
All right. So here's our end of the year Wall of Dunk compilation featuring all the guys we just saw and a few others. It was a great year for dunks, for sure, there's no doubt. So, Mark, who had the top dunk?
I'm going with Ant-Man, Anthony Edwards from the T-Wolves. He jumped off a trampoline. He just, the dude, who did he dunk on? Yada Tuba, what's his name?
Yuta Watanabe of the Toronto Raptors.
Watanabe.
Yeah, that was one of the greatest dunks I've seen in NBA history. The worst part about that dunk was nobody was there to see it.
I know.
If that would have made the dunk even better, people would have ran out of the building. That's the best dunk.
Jaggy?
I got to tell you, Mark, I could go 1, 2, and 3 with dunks from Miles Bridges. Yeah, he was
good
must-see
too.
TV, also because of that great Charlotte announcer. And that dunk on Clint Capella, who knows what he's doing, man, that was sick. Give me Miles Bridges all day, every day.
Yeah, this is tough, okay? This one is tough for sure. I guess I'm going to have to be the person to break the tie because it is between those two, okay?
You know what you're doing, George.
Shout out to Kawhi, though. I said underrated Kawhi on that dunk because I felt like people didn't give him the credit for it. But I'm going to have to go with the Ant-Man because to Mark's credit, I mean, if we had like Photoshop, we would have a saddle, right? We'd have a lasso, a cowboy hat. Poor Yuta Watanabe. You got to learn to make a business decision, young man. And in that situation, you made the wrong decision.
Out of the way.
You'd have know better now.
You'd have know better, for sure. There's no doubt about that. All right. Okay, back to the postseason. Both Trae Young and Julius Randle are making their playoff debuts in the first round, basically pick'em series between the Knicks and the Hawks. So, Jackie, I'll start with you. Who's facing more pressure in this playoff debut, Julius Randle or Trae Young?
Well, which guy plays for the New York Knicks, which is synonymous with pressure. So let's start with that. And it's funny to me, you say that Trae Young's in the playoffs for the first time. Doesn't it feel like he's been around forever?
Yeah.
Here's the other thing. There's 9 players in double figures for the Hawks. So if Trae Young, misses a few shots, it's all right. He's got Bogdanovich and Gallinari and John Collins and Kevin Huerter to pick up the pace for him. I feel like so much of the New York Knicks' success is on Julius Randle's very broad shoulders.
I'm with the Hall of Famer. You got a guy that's woken up a downtrodden franchise, some sad zombie-like fans who haven't seen a championship since I was an infant.
I wasn't even born yet. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I mean, so there's a lot. He's in the mecca of basketball. They're thirsty bad. I know Spike Lee. I'm putting it all on Julius, and I really think that he has the game to get him past this series and make this playoffs interesting.
Okay, I'm going to disagree with both of you respectfully for this reason. The Knicks fans, they shouldn't have any expectations. There should be no pressure, okay? This team was, we thought maybe they'd make the playoffs, right? Here they are as the 4 seed. They are the favorite in a series. They might get past the first round for the first time in Lord knows how long.
George.
Listen, hold on.
Do the Hawks fans care about that?
I get it. But you should just be happy to be here, is my point. Like, don't sit here and create.
Man, New York state of mind, baby. You know how it is.
You already
know.
George, you're from the wrong part of the country, man.
Yeah.
Don't create.
You're from the wrong part of the country. I was born in Manhasset, New York, whether I like it or not. I'm telling you. The other thing we should mention, though, with the Knicks, when R.J. Barrett plays really well, they almost always win. So let's not put it all on Randle. R.J. Barrett's had a great year.
Yeah, but,
so I think they can do something, and they need to.
I think they're going to win the series. I picked them in 7, okay, on ESPN.com. But what I'm saying is this. Just enjoy the ride, man. We didn't know you were even going to be here. So just enjoy. Don't add
you
expectations.
Don't understand.
Well, and by the way, Trae.
You don't understand.
And with Trae, I do understand. I lived there. I get it. Like, you know what I'm saying? But, like, what I'm saying is this. Is like Trae Young, to your point, Jackie, we feel like he's been around for a while now.
Hey, can I jump in real quick?
Go ahead.
Yep.
Speaking of somebody who's been around for a while, why haven't the Hawks given Nate McMillan a deal?
That's a good point.
That's absolutely terrible. I mean, he's done a fantastic job taking over this team.
What is it, 27-10, right?
And last I heard, they hadn't started any negotiations with him. This is a guy that has done a fantastic job after taking over for Lloyd Pierce, and he deserves it. Top 25 coach.
Yep.
Hawks ain't going to get anybody better than that. So I don't know what they're waiting on. So
I
that's
agree.
where the attention, I think,
Players
should be
believe in
right
him,
now.
too.
Yeah, I agree. I agree for sure. So, Mark, thank you, my brother. It was great to see you in person. Great to get the bear hug. Great to have you in studio. Coming
Hall
up.
of Famer.
Yeah, for sure.
See you, Mark.
Shout out your girl. All right, Ramona Shelburne's ESPN cover on Joel Embiid, her cover story. In it, Joel calls himself the most unstoppable player in the league. And
Dell.
we cap off the play-in tournament right here on ESPN and the ESPN app tomorrow night. It's an elimination game for the 8th spot and a series with the top-seeded Jazz between the Grizzlies and the Warriors, 9 Eastern. Of course, NBA Countdown starts with our coverage at 8. The 76ers have gone through a maturation process over the past year. They have a new coach, new role players, and are sitting atop of the Eastern Conference. Meanwhile, Joel Embiid is playing at an MVP level, adjusting to being a new dad, and leading the 76ers on both ends of the floor. So, is this the year the process is finally complete? Our very own Ramona Shelburne spotlights the Superstar Center in our latest cover story. Let's take a look.
Embiid already with 21 points. And throwing down 2. And he is hurt. And this, for Sixer fans right now, is a breath-holding moment.
I just thought my season was over. It has to be an ACL or something because of the pain. As it happened, he just woke up and just started crying out of nowhere. He just started screaming out of nowhere. He looks like he knew. I'm from Yaoundé, Cameroon.
After 5 seasons of trusting the process, 27-year-old Joel Embiid still has much to prove.
I'm the most unstoppable player in the league. I'm 7'2", I'm good looking. I'm pretty intelligent too.
The first career 50-point for the dominant Joel Embiid. Process that.
This year, he's playing like an MVP and embracing a new role, leaving many to wonder, is this the year the process is finally completed?
I want him to see me win a championship. I want him to see his dad as the best player in the world.
I'm Ramona Shelburne, and this is ESPN Cover Story.
What's up, Ramona?
What's going on?
I'm good. How you doing? I've told you that before. I feel like my life is a movie. My father was in the Army, and he also played handball, and he was one of the best. So I always saw him as like, you've raised the ball high, so I gotta do better than them.
You were quite a bit older than your brother, Arthur. 7 years older, right? But you called him your best friend.
We were so close when you're talking about video games, and when I always asked my mom stuff, she would say no, but she would always say yes to him, so I would always use him to go ask for something just for me.
Arthur was just 10 years old when his big brother left for Cameroon in 2011, chasing a dream.
I've always been around my family. I never left their sight. To go alone on an adventure where you don't know the language, you don't know anybody, it was tough. Everything happened so fast.
The Philadelphia 76ers select Joel Embiid.
Within 3 years, I made it to the league. I still can't believe it. It just meant that anything is possible.
4 months after being drafted in 2014, Joel received a call from Cameroon. His brother Arthur was walking home from school when he was hit by a truck and killed. He was 13 years old.
I couldn't stop crying. I was all over the place. I was, throwing stuff, and I was just trying to understand. The next day, I was on a plane back to Cameroon. No one has gotten over it. To this day, we all still shocked. And at that time, I was just like, I don't want to come back. Like, I just want to stop playing basketball.
Why'd you decide to come back?
I just felt like, well, I got to do it for him. I got to do it for my family.
After a 2-year delay due to injuries, Embiid found his way back to the court in 2016.
Here it is, and down it goes for his first NBA hoop. Now the nerves, maybe they go away, right? Now you just play basketball. Oh, there he is with a block, and they're loving it.
After the block, them just going crazy, that was the start of something special.
Building the Sixers from the worst team in the league into contenders became known as the process. Embiid embraced it, as his highs and lows were the embodiment of it all.
I was talking to Annie. She was also crying. She knows how much I care about winning and about winning a championship.
Soon enough, the process became about more than basketball.
This thing is too dangerous.
In 2020, with his partner Annie by his side, Embiid committed to reaching the bar set by his father.
We had a plan, but it was still not a guarantee. That was really exciting.
On September 16th, 2020, Annie went into labor.
We went to the hospital, and that was the same day that the All-NBA stuff came out.
Which player would you say is the biggest snub from this list?
I'm looking at it, and I'm looking who made it, and I'm like, better than all these guys. In those cartoons where, people have like holes and, hair start coming out and stuff. That's how I felt. I saw it, I was so pissed off. I'm like, I can't believe this. But in that time, I'm like, well, I can't react or I can't show anything because, well, this is what I care about more. I just knew his first name was gonna be Arthur. My little brother, he's still with us. You know, he's part of us, and he's never gonna go anywhere.
Oh, that's really nice.
After Arthur's birth, Embiid vowed to elevate his play. This season, his 29 points and nearly 11 rebounds per game have the Sixers on the brink of clinching the top seed in the Eastern Conference for the first time in 20 years.
This year, I'm just all about business. At the end of the day, I want to be considered one of the greatest of all time. I wanted to see his dad as, you know, the best player in the world, just like I saw my dad.
A very touching story there with Joel Embiid, and a great job by Ramona Shelburne. Coming up, Malika Andrews will join us to talk about James Harden.